Hello again, it's Michael Heckle here. You hope you're well and you are enjoying being free, or hopefully almost free, of coronavirus restrictions. The biggest positive is that live music is back. Since chatting to Robin from Big Fat Big in my previous video, she has been to a fair few gigs already. However, this time I'm chatting to Tom O'Donnell, a folk singer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the USA. However, now he lives in Henderson, Nevada, which is near Vegas. Now, Tom, first of all, I really appreciate your time. So how come you spend a part of your year in Rothbury, Northumberland, even though you are from the United States?
Well, if you actually come to Rothbury in Northumberland, you fall in love, and it's an easy question to answer. More seriously, in my course of my career, in 1998, I moved to Paris and then subsequently to Zurich, Switzerland. And my wife and I decided as retirement was approaching, we wanted to stay part of the year in Europe. And we looked around, and finally we had come actually up here to the north for family holidays while we were in Zurich. And we just fell in love with the area. And so in 2009, we bought a house in Rothbury, and after retirement, 2012, we started spending 6 months to 8 months every year here. We couldn't come last year because of the pandemic. We got stuck in the United States, but we did move our house in the United States from West Virginia to Las Vegas. I got tired of cold winters. We're here in the summer, and it's very, very nice.
Yeah, I bet. So what are the main differences, would you say, when performing in the UK compared to performing in America?
Well, there's just a much more lively music scene here, much more, things like sing-arounds and open mics, and I've done performances where I sing songs that most people have never heard, but I've noticed sometimes people will pick up on what I'm doing and actually join in on the chorus by the third verse, even though they've never heard the song before. There's just such a tremendous musical appreciation here in the North, and it may be in other places in England too. But I tell you, this is performance heaven. I have brought some friends over here who perform in the States, and we just go around and we do 3 or 4 shows over a week or so, and they are just blown away about the quality of the venues and the responsiveness of the audience. And I just said, this is why I love this place.
Ah, it's lovely. So let's go right back then. Where did your music career take off?
Well, I've always been singing since I was little, as long as I can remember. And when I was 16, I went off to a boarding school, and I was singing songs out of a Kingston Trio songbook. You're too young to remember the Kingston Trio, but in the late 1950s, they were the biggest act in the world. And they had, until Lady Gaga beat them out a couple of years ago, they had the record for the most #1 LPs in a row. They had 6 in a row, and Lady Gaga beat them a couple of years ago with 7. So they were quite something, and they were the group that I got into the music. I was 10 years old. And when I was 16, I was walking around at this boarding school singing their songs with a songbook. And the guy across the hall handed me a guitar, and he said, if you put your fingers in the little places there where the black dots are, you can play the guitar and sing. And it was too much. I got started.
Wow.
When I joke about it. I say when I was 16, I told my father I wanted to be a professional folk singer, and he sat me down and taught me the ways of the world, especially how to pay bills. Did not emerge from being a folk singer. So after I retired 50 years later, I decided to become one.
Yeah.
Just had to wait half a century to do it.
That's it. So in songwriting, do you write about personal circumstances, or do you just kind of write about anything? What do you typically write about?
Well, I'm not really a singer-songwriter. I've written 2 songs, which I haven't really written all by myself. I've used other people's templates or some ideas from other people. But I tried to write music, and I'm an extraordinarily bad songwriter, and there's enough bad music in the world I didn't think I should add to it. So what I do is I sing primarily, or about half of my repertoire is by a singer-songwriter named John Stewart, who now has passed away, sadly. He's been gone for 12 years. But John was the most prolific and most talented songwriter that you've never heard of. You have heard of one song that he wrote, Daydream Believer.
Oh, yeah.
And, so John used to call that his couch money every year. His widow still gets over $100,000 a year in royalties from that song, but that's what gave John his freedom to do what he did in his later career. And a lot of his music has been covered by other people, but he's largely forgotten now. And I do his music because I perform, I can sing very nicely, and I play the guitar pretty darn well, and I can take this great music and bring it to people who've never heard it, and people love it. And so why should I go out and write really bad music when I can do great music written by somebody else?
Mm. So your career, Tom, has spanned over 50 years. Who's influenced your music over the years?
Well, I started, as I say, with the Kingston Trio, acoustic folk kind of music from the 60s, and then the singer-songwriters came along, and I really dug them. I mean, John Stewart was one of them, but there were others like Tom Paxton and Bob Dylan, of course, that were very influential. And gradually I focused more and more on John's music because I really enjoy it and because it is not well known. And that is really the main influences. I listen to a lot of different things, and some of my music has changed. I do a few blues things. I do a couple of jazz things occasionally. I mean, my rule is that I perform any song that I like and can perform well, and I don't ask what genre it is.
Yeah. So what are some of your highlights of your career so far?
Well, the highlights of my career. I guess the one highlight is I was at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. I saw Bobby Dylan pull out an electric guitar and do Maggie's Farm and make everybody go crazy. That was a really historic event, although I was just there to watch it.
Yeah.
In my career, yes, the big things was really after I came here to Northumberland and started performing here in various places. And I've had some marvelous times. Like the Annick International Music Festival is one I performed at several times, and I dearly love that. That's fantastic. And I've met some of my heroes. I got to know the Kingston Trio over the last 20 years, and I was a good friend of its founding member, Bob Shane, until he died about a year and a half ago. And, you know, when I was 10 years old listening to their music on the radio, how could I ever dream that someday that I'd kick back with Bob Shane and, you know, trade dirty stories and other sorts of things?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then I've gotten to know some other musicians as well. And that's been very satisfying. And I just really, my career is, I'm just having a good time, I guess.
That's what it's all about. So you have 7 albums out, which are Where I'm Bound from 2007, Tomorrow is a Long Time from 2008, Rise Again 2009, Dreams and Memories 2010, Higher Ground 2011, Singing Your Songs, a John Stewart tribute 2012, and All Souls 2013. What feelings do you get when you first release an album? Is it more excitement? Is it more nerves?
Oh, it's tremendous excitement. I'm always really happy with what I've done, and I'm always thinking it's better than the last one, and isn't that great? So I'm always excited about getting the reactions from people when they start to listen to it. I haven't been able to record a full album in a while. I mean, yeah, 7 is a fair amount, and the last one, Rothbury In The Fall, is 2 discs. I am doing some recording now, but I'm probably going to release an EP in the next year or so with maybe 7 or 8 things on it.
So out of those 7 that I mentioned, have you got a favourite album?
Oh, my favorite is Rothbury In The Fall, the last album. I think it's my best. And it has, you ask if I wrote. Well, Rothbury In The Fall is a song that is inspired by a song written by do a Kruger of the Kruger brothers called Carolina in the Fall. And it seemed to express my story very, very well if I rewrote the words. And it's just really, it's about, the song itself is sort of about my life. I've had 40 different postal addresses in my life and never really felt at home in any of them until I got here. And the song is about finding home. It's about Rothbury and how that's become the thing that where I really love.
As well, I just recently come across Rothbury In The Fall there on your Spotify, and I think I might have found one of the best covers I've seen of Lindisfarne's Meet Me on the Corner, I must say.
Oh, thank you very much. That has the official approval of Rod Clements. He lives about 100 yards from me. We've become friends. That, again, one of the nice things about living here. And when I did my version of Meet Me on the Corner for him, he looked at me and he said, "Not too bad."
Really?
So I felt I was officially approved.
I mean, I've seen a few musicians sing that song, but obviously, I mean, the album version that you've got on Rothbury On The Fall, I must say, is a very, very, very good adaptation of it.
Thank you so much, because I really love that song, and nobody in the U.S. knows it. It's a song that, you know, that is wonderful. Everybody loves it as soon as they hear it.
Yeah.
And you could, in the U.S., it's like I can tell people about Lindisfarne and say, I mean, Rod told me they did like 6 or 7 tours of the U.S., but other than some cult following they've got there, nobody remembers them. And so bringing this wonderful song to Americans is, I feel like an international trader in music sometimes.
So what are some of your favourite songs of all your albums then?
Well, probably Rothbury In The Fall, obviously.
Yeah.
The Run the Ridges. Can't remember which album that's on, but that's one of my favorites that I've done. Gosh, there's so many. Gotta look. It's hard to think of. I mean, every album has its favorites, and some of them. I have one with my son on an album called "Who Says I Can't Get Stoned," and I did that with my son. And I really enjoyed that. That's a fine song. But there's so many. I like them all.
So what gigs have you got coming up?
I have, on the 26th, I have an outdoor thing in Bedale at the Platform 1, and it's an afternoon thing. It's from 1 to 4. It's a tea room, so they actually hired me off of my booking site, so I'm kind of impressed they found me. And then I just got a gig for the Alston Live Festival on July 24th, I believe it is. I think it was the booking. Yeah, July 24th. Those are the only things I've got right now, but I'm, been writing to various people. Most people haven't started booking yet. A lot of the places that I would play in up here in the north are still waiting a bit. And hopefully another 2 or 3 months, people will be booking a lot more. And meanwhile, I'm just going to go to every open mic I can in the area, have a good time.
That's what it's all about, indeed. So how much did the pandemic set you back then?
Well, because I'm retired and I don't, although I get paid for what I do, I don't do this for a living. And so, yeah, I had no work at all like anybody else. I mean, my last gig was March 8th in 2020. About a week before everything closed down, and actually it was a great weekend. I had 2 gigs, one on the 7th, the 8th, really good money. Everybody loved them. And then boom, everything shut down for a year, and I haven't played out really since then. And so that I've missed a lot. There's doing the Zoom things and the online stuff. It's something, but it's really like kissing your sister. So, you there?
Yeah, I'm still listening, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's financially I didn't have problems. A lot of my friends who are full-time musicians had real problems. It really really difficult because if you're relying on this primarily for income, you didn't have any for a year. And some people like my friends, the Folk Legacy Trio, which are, a professional group of people, two of them were with the Kingston Trio, one of them with the Christie Minstrels back when. They were from some of the great groups of the past. They were just about to take off last year, and George, one of their members, told me, he said, we had 50 performances canceled, and he said, this was our takeoff. We had all the stuff ready. And Lindisfarne, for example, had their 50th anniversary last year, and Rod was telling me we had all the little, T-shirts and everything printed up, and then nothing happened. And so it's been tough that's really been tough if you're making a living off of this.
So how can people find you and your music then, Tom? Any social media links you'd like to mention? And of course, anywhere where people can find your music?
Well, my website is sort of like a library. It's just called folksinger.info. And if you go to that, I have virtually all of my songs, which are professionally studio recorded, are there for free download. And as an extra bonus with them, for those of you who play guitar, there is a lead sheet for almost every song, which shows you how I played it and has all the words that, again, you can freely print to just use. So it's like I'm giving away my music, and I'm glad people can listen. So that's the place to go if you want to listen and hear my music. If you want to see like videos and stuff like that, I've got a Facebook page called Tom O'Donnell Folk Singer. If you just enter that, you'll come up with that. And of course, I've got the obligatory YouTube channel under Tom O'Donnell. Again, that'll be harder to find. I can't remember the exact address, but if you go to my website, there's icons you can click for Facebook and for YouTube. It'll go straight to my channels, and they can see all that sort of stuff. And then on those places, you'll find my email, my telephone number, And if you want to book me, you can also do. There's what's the management? There's a online management company that you can book me through. So I'm easy to find and easy to book.
There we go. Well, Tom, that is it. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's very kind of you to call me and ask these questions. I really appreciate being on your radio show, and you have a lovely day now.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much now.
Okay.